Welcome to our series Survive and Thrive in the Economic Downturn. My name is Richard Rahn. I'm a principal with Leonardo Group Americas. And the topic of this module is overhead. If you look at our product cost, and this could be a service as well as something that we physically build, look at our product cost at a high level, you can organize the cost to build that product into three buckets, three high-level buckets. The first one is materials. That's material we buy on the outside. Second bucket is direct labor, the labor that we expend in delivering the service or building the product. And the third category is what we're calling overhead. Now, if we examine our ability to control costs and reduce product cost in the light of these three buckets, we find that we're somewhat limited. On the material side, we're talking about the material we directly consume in the product. We're limited by the fact that the material costs something, and unless we redesign our product to use different materials, we're pretty much stuck with what we have. And our ability to reduce that cost would depend on paying our suppliers less for the material. So those are our restrictions: redesign the product or pay less for the material that we need. On the direct labor side, of course, we can hire and fire, lay off people, hire people as needed. That's terribly disruptive to our efforts for continuous improvement and workforce development, but this is what many companies do. Keep in mind, though, that direct labor is a tiny percentage in most cases of our total product cost. For some products, it's less than 2%. And I was surprised to learn recently that the automotive industry, in the U.S. automotive industry, the labor is only 10% of the total product cost. So even if we're building the cars for free, no labor, we're not going to see a huge reduction in the cost of building those cars. So what's remaining is the overhead bucket. Now, this is a fairly complex bucket. A lot of things are included in this category of overhead. It not only includes a lot of labor, the indirect labor is included in overhead, but it includes our facilities, our building, a lot of other things go into overhead. So this is a much bigger topic than we can address in just a few minutes. But I just wanted to offer a couple suggestions for quick and powerful changes and techniques that we can use to really get a handle on overhead costs. First one is this. I would suggest that every department in your company be required to, if they haven't done so already, create a value stream map, or if you wish, a flow chart of the work steps for their major processes in that department. In other words, they have to sit down and document at a flow chart level, boxes and arrows, simple as that, how they do the work. And what you'll find if you haven't done that is that's really an eye-opener, especially when you start seeing the handoffs that happen in many processes where the flow of information in an overhead function or the flow of product, when it goes from one functional area to another, it's surprising and shocking sometimes the delay that we incur. So that work that takes only a few hours to really complete sometimes takes days or weeks to get through the system. And by asking people to sit down and flow chart their processes in that way, it really can help trigger some creative thinking as to how we might do things differently. So a value stream map from every department manager describing how the work is done. That's point number one. Point number two, based on that flow chart, sometimes we use the term value stream map, sometimes we don't, but based on that flow chart, ask them to come up with some ideas for improvement. It's pretty hard to ask for ideas for improvement in a vacuum, but when you have a piece of paper in front of you that describes step by step how you do the work in that process, then it's much easier. So ask them to come up with some improvements in the form of process improvement suggestions. It shouldn't take long to do this, to be honest. It should just be really a few minutes, or have a little meeting and brainstorm. Everyone knows what the problems are, and with a little bit of creative thinking, it's amazing sometimes what you can achieve. So we have a flow chart, we have a list of improvements. Third thing is accountability. We need to have some way of making sure that people actually implement those changes. Various ways of doing that, but the simplest thing is you ask people to report out on their progress from time to time. By time to time, we mean weekly or bi-weekly. The department managers are required to be embarrassed or be heroes standing up in front of their colleagues and reporting on their accomplishments. We sometimes call this the fishbowl, meaning it's transparent and you can't hide. If you're not accomplishing what you said you were going to accomplish, it's pretty difficult to not have other people find out about it. So there's a certain element of pride and or embarrassment involved in this, but very effective. So that's the fishbowl. Fourth thing you need to have are some measurements, metrics. What gets measured gets done. You've heard that expression before. So for every department then, how do we want to measure our success? What are the key measurements that we want to actually put in a chart and record on a periodic basis and actually be paying attention to? And actually have some kind of reward or punishment related to that metric. So what I'm describing here is not rocket science. It's very simple stuff. But ask yourself, does every department in your company actually have a flow chart that describes the steps? Do they actually have an improvement plan? So this isn't, this isn't hard to do. It just requires some perseverance, some discipline, and some follow-up, basically, from upper management to make sure that people understand this isn't a game, this is for real, and it actually is a lot of fun to make life easier for everyone in your department by improving the process. One last comment on overhead. Carl Icahn, who's a corporate rater, buys companies, improves them, turns them around, had an interview recently in the Wall Street Journal, and he said he felt he could take any traditional company and cut the costs or improve performance by 30%. And when asked, how would you do that? That seems like a big number. He said most companies have that much waste and that much mismanagement in them as an opportunity. So my question would be, if that's true, and I believe it is true, if that's true, then why not take advantage of that ourselves? So this is a hidden gold mine, really, we have in most companies. The gold mine is this pot of waste that's available there for elimination. So in the current downturn, it really becomes that much more important. This is always important, but it's that much more important to really focus our attention. And the simple techniques that I just described to you, flow charting the work and coming up with process improvements on a department by department basis, is really the simplest and easiest way to get started on this. Thank you, and we'll look forward to seeing you again in this series.